Hi, I'm Simon with AppliancePartsPros.com. Today we're going to show you how to repair your appliance. Are you ready? Remember, anytime you work on your appliance, make sure it's unplugged or the circuit breakers are off so there is no chance of electrocution. Also, make sure you turn off the water supply to the washer. In this video, we'll show you how to replace the main bearing assembly in a top-load Amana washer. It will require a few minutes of your time, and we will show you how to do it. For this job, we're going to need a 5/16 inch nut driver, a 1/4 inch nut driver, a putty knife, a pair of pliers, a pair of locking pliers, a 7/16 and 13mm socket. If you don't have the 13mm, you can use a 1/2 inch socket instead, a socket wrench with an extension, and also a flat blade screwdriver, a pipe wrench, a rust buster, a sledgehammer, and a wooden block. When you open up the package, you're going to get a new main bearing assembly. The main reason why the main bearing assembly would need to be replaced is because the washer becomes noisy during the spin cycle. We need to begin with removing the front panel. Using the 5/16 inch nut driver, loosen up 2 screws at the bottom of the front panel. Insert the putty knife into the seam on the top of the front panel approximately 2 inches from the corners and push in the clips that hold the front panel. Tilt the panel forward and remove it from the bottom screws. Next, we need to remove the hoses from the pump. But before doing that, put a towel and a container under the pump to catch the water that is still inside the washer. Depending on the type of clamps you got there, use either the 1/4 inch nut driver or the pliers to remove the clamps and then slide the hoses off the pump. Remove the clamps from the hoses and put them aside. Then pull out the container. Push on the locking tab and disconnect the motor harness plug. Use the pliers to release the retainer clip to the motor harness. Then put the wire harness aside. Reach in and remove the drive belt from the transmission pulley. Locate the 4 bolts that hold the motor bracket and using the 13mm socket wrench, remove them. Keep the motor supported, it's heavy. The 2 top bolts have washers, don't lose them. Tape down the lid and lift the top by removing 2 5/16 screws in the corners. Using the pliers, slide the clamp and pull the hose off. And now we can remove the top cover. There are a number of locking tabs on the side around the top cover that we need to pull up to release the cover. Pull the fabric softener dispenser off. Next, grab the agitator with both hands at the bottom and pull it off. Next, using the 13mm socket wrench, remove the 4 bolts that hold the inner top and take it out. Pull out the lint filter. Use a screwdriver to remove the plug and save it. There is a 7/16 bolt under the plug that holds the drive bell. Use the socket wrench to take it out. Using the flat blade screwdriver, pry the drive bell off the shaft. Using the flat blade screwdriver, carefully pry off the bell seal. Remove the spline insert. Before taking the lock nut off, clamp the locking pliers on one of the transmission's ribs and turn it to jam against one of the supports. Use the pipe wrench or an adjustable wrench and the sledgehammer to loosen up and then take off the lock nut. Turn the nut counterclockwise. Remove the pliers. Using the locking pliers, remove the tub springs. Using the pliers, remove the clamp and pull the air pressure hose off the air dome. And now we can lift the other tub assembly from the cabinet. Be careful as it's heavy. Next, we need to separate the other tub from the support structure. Using 13mm socket wrench, take out the 2 bolts from each support leg, totaling 6 bolts. And then 2 5/16 screws holding the counterweight. Lift up and install the tub on 2 supports so the base is approximately 10 inches above the ground. Put the towel or a piece of cardboard on the floor and using the sledgehammer and the wooden block, knock the transmission shaft out of the hub. Take the hub out. Squirt the rust buster around the shaft. Using the wooden block and hammer again, knock the transmission shaft until the transmission assembly loosens and can be removed from the tub. Lay the tub upside down. Spray some rust buster on the bolts. Use a 13mm socket wrench to take out the 3 bolts and remove the main bearing. This is the old main bearing assembly next to the new one. If you don't have this part, you can get it from appliancepartspros.com. Place the new bearing on and secure it with the 3 13mm bolts. And now we're going to turn the tub over. Doing that, be careful with the drain hose. Place small amount of grease on the inside the bearing and inside the tub seal lip. Okay, now let's place the tub over the transmission shaft. I would like to point out that the drain hose is on this side. Next thing, we need to align the holes. Each support is supposed to be aligned with 2 holes on the outer tub. Just like that. First, install 3 leg plates with the 13mm bolts into the support legs. Rotate the tub and install the rest of the bolts. Use a 13mm socket wrench to tighten the bolts. and then two 5/16 screws that hold the counterweight. And now the tub assembly is ready to go back into the washer cabinet. If the snubber ring moved during this assembly, position it in the center of the base and then place the tub assembly inside the cabinet on the snubber. Starting from the rear, using the locking pliers, install all 6 tub springs. Attach the air pressure hose to the air dome and using the pliers, secure it with the clamp. Place the hub on the shaft all the way down. Then, using the same technique as we used to take it out, secure it with a locking nut. Use the locking pliers to jam the transmission. Tighten the pipe wrench around the nut. Then, hammer the wrench clockwise to tighten the nut. Remove the pliers from the transmission. Place the spline insert on the shaft. Soap the bell seal from inside and carefully push it down onto the transmission shaft and the hub. Push the bell drive onto the shaft and secure it with a 7/16 bolt. Push in the rubber plug. Use a screwdriver or paper clip to release the air from under the plug. Install the lint filter. Place the inner basket on the hub. Match the holes where the 4 13mm bolts were originally installed and put them in. Tighten them with a 13mm socket wrench. Place the agitator on the drive bell and slowly turn it so the tabs and the grooves will match, and then push it down to lock. Push in the fabric softener dispenser. Make sure the cover gasket is placed correctly. Then place the top cover on the top, match the pin on the side with the cutout, and push down on the cover to lock all the tabs. Connect the water inlet hose to the port in the top cover and using the pliers, secure it with a clamp. Now we can close the top and take the tape off the lid. Secure the top to the cabinet with two 5/16" screws. Now let's put the motor back inside the washer. Have the bolts and the 13mm socket wrench ready. Lift the motor up, support it with one hand while threading the bottom bolts with the other. Install the top bolts with the washers. Tighten all bolts with a socket wrench. Push the harness retainer clip in. Connect the motor harness plug. Install the belt on the transmission pulley. Slide the clamps onto the tubes. Install both hoses on the drain pump and tighten the clamps with a 1/4" nut driver. Give them a tug and remove the towel. At this point, before installing the front panel, we should turn the water on, plug the washer back in, and check it for leaks. Install the front panel on the two bottom screws and push it in to lock the top clips. Tighten the bottom 5/16" screws. And now, when you're done with the repair, you can tell your husband it's time to do the laundry. Thank you for being a part of another successful repair brought to you by AppliancePartsPros.com. For any of your future appliance repair projects, please check out our other repair videos available on our site, on Facebook, and on YouTube.